nonprofit in tech?
Yes.
Cool, excellent. I'm a sustainable student at UT.
Oh, great.
And I'm also doing startup class right now.
Oh, good.
So I found one that works with both because, you know, nonprofits are important to sustainability. So
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to not kill two birds with one stone, but advance my learning experience. You know what I'm saying?
Kyle and Ryan will be good for you to get to know.
Who?
The two speakers.
Okay.
Are upbringing. Because they're a startup, they have an office here at Capital Factory, and they've kind of taken a faith-based, over 100-year-old nonprofit basically, and they've just moved it forward into the 21st century. And but they're so innovative, and I'm trying to connect them with people with an interest in that, and they're starting to grow also. So you will want to give them your card, keep in touch, because there's just what they're going through as they expand. You know what I'm saying? They're kind of really just, they officially started their work, I guess the Upbring Innovation Labs, last November. So they're pretty new. They're not even a year old. But they were a little nervous because they said, well, we're kind of have a ways to go. I said, just talk about what you're doing. And
Experience.
it's just because they're in the middle of growing, you know, so you'll learn a lot from
It's
them.
definitely an insight. I mean, it's not like that's not something you expect to go through. So.
Yeah, they really are. They're nice, and they're also just doing some amazing work. So you'll want to keep up with them, maybe. Come back and visit with them.
Is this supposed to have multiple speakers here this evening?
Just Kyle and Ryan who
Okay.
are working together. They're doing two different things.
So it's only one.
But
only
one group.
Okay.
Yeah, Upbring is the name of it. So it's kind of a new thing, and it's interesting because it's got a faith-based, it's technology applied to a faith-based cause, you know.
What do you mean by faith? You mean like religious?
It was originally Lutheran Social Services,
Okay.
over 100-year-old organization. They work on child abuse prevention. And they just evolved in all these new ways, so it's really interesting to see because so many faith-based or church-oriented groups are sort of, you know, still a ways away from adopting new technology and really just jumping into it. But those that are smart are getting ahead like Upbring. So they're a good one because of your class, and you know what I'm saying? It'll be interesting.
Yeah, the class I'm doing this for is a startup class, but like my main background is geography sustainability, so it handles both of my interests in the school.
Do you, geography, are you like environmental sort of stuff? Or?
Yeah, that's what the sustainability route is. Like some students are pure sustainability and they're more on like, how do I put this, like going to capital policy.
Yeah.
And then I'm more into like innovations that will bring sustainability. You can
Yeah.
sign a law that says you need to be sustainable, but if you don't have technology to make it, then what's the point?
You know, there's an open source platform, and the guy who told me about it moved. He was at, I think, at Harvard or something. Moved to your Kennedy School at Harvard, and he moved to Austin, and he is a Dave Kramer. Anyway, there's this platform, I think it's called Mirati, M-I-R-A-D-I, open source. But basically, you can use it to plan conservation and all the multiple aspects of it, and bring it all together. And he might be somebody you'd like to get to know. Also, Texas Parks and Wildlife, I know the director of that because I worked with him a long time ago. And they have GPS position over there. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Like a GIS, Global Information System?
Yes.
Yeah, I did a class on that last semester. It's pretty cool stuff. It's all about mapping and data related to Earth. It's pretty cool.
You know, it's going on, but Dave really gets all that. And Microsoft has gotten into sustainability
I don't have a huge tech background, but I know that they're going hand in hand, so I'm just trying to learn stuff so I can keep ahead of the curve, or at least keep up with
Oh,
it.
yeah, no, it's, do you have a little card or your email?
I know, I mean, I have an email, but no, I'm just a student at UT, so I don't have any like business relation or anything. I'm just learning as, I'm pretty fresh, extremely fresh.
Well, here's the, I was gonna say, I think it would be good for you to meet Dave Kramer, who spoke about that open source platform for conservation planning. He's in the mix with all kinds of people doing it all over Latin America and the United States. He's in here in Austin.
He's here in Austin?
Yeah.
Okay, because that's kind of more of my thing, is like managing, like getting sustainable power grids put into an area or something like that.
Yeah, he would know the players, I think, in all of that.
Okay.
So if you feel like it later, just email me and
Yes,
I'll
ma'am.
go, okay, I need to put you in touch with Dave Kramer.
Dave Kramer.
Because he really.
Is he is he connected in government, or is this private
No,
enterprise?
he's in private nonprofits and
Okay.
like I say, technology for conservation planning purposes and other things. So he's real smart, and because of his, Boston, Harvard thing, you know what I mean? He'll know
Yeah.
people if you have a specific area or something like that.
They probably do a lot with GIS, because they plan out like all the distances on maps and
Yeah.
data and like different amount of like ethnicities within this area and concentrating on that. They do all that stuff in GIS.
Yeah. Well, it's a situation where if people will not duplicate, they'll all get together and share their information and get a whole lot done better
Yeah.
and more quickly. And so he's kind of worked on some of those collaborative projects.
That is nice about.
Not totally open source, like it's free. It just kind of, the ball got rolling and you can download it and see what you, anyway, he really, that would be an interesting presentation maybe for your class.
Do they come here?
They did a presentation for us, the Nonprofit Tech Club, about 2 years ago probably.
Oh, okay.
He did it. That's how I met him. And then, because I've done a lot of fundraising in the environmental conservation and education arena, so I had a ton of contacts for him. So I kind of passed those along, to him. But I think he would be a good person to,
Yeah. 'Cause
just to get to know, and he'll kind of, since he's struggled along in Austin, and trying to get set up, you know what I'm saying? He kind of knows who's doing what.
Absolutely. One of the biggest issues with sustainability is all the different people in management and not being together. It's just all these little things doing their own little thing, so everybody can invent the exact same thing, and then we're all in the same place instead of building off one person's idea. They're just all doing their own things, and nobody's connected,
Right.
and that's a huge deal.
It's a
There's
huge
a lot. It just
problem.
reaches a lot of wasted time, honestly.
Yeah, it's a lot of, that's a huge challenge, and so Dave has literally worked on that, so you all need to kind of look at, or at least know one another. Then, he might be a resource for information for you.
I've done urban gardening stuff in like the East Austin area, and there's no connectivity. Nobody. I mean, it's about just like donating little bits of like, there's a piece of fence that will add that or something. I mean, it's nothing's up to date on anything. It's all old school and word of mouth. So
Austin is actually, I tell people that I just came back to Austin in 2013 after being away 20 years. And I tell them, I say, you know what? To me, it's like the Stone Age, like the nonprofits. Like here, I'm at Capital Factory. I mean, I've like been out in the world, and I've had to learn really fast and so adopt new technologies to get a lot done in my fundraising communications. So I'm like paying attention to that. But for some reason in Austin, there's a lot of, you talk to people and they're kind of not paying attention or they don't get it. And yet there's more nonprofits here than almost any
it
other.
moves slow around. Things just move slow, like and just every bit of the sense moves slow.
Yeah.
Getting to the next stage of like technology, and not so much like startups, but just like people just they kind of cruise, go slow, especially in East Austin. Like that is a chill, laid back area.
I was just over there, I got some spring rolls over there. I'm just like so blown away. It seemed like I was there not long ago
Because I think the apartment, I was right there at MLK train station, and I think it was like Helping Way or something like that. It was a nonprofit right there, and there was like two of them just right there by my, and they're nice buildings, so I mean,
Yeah.
they can keep the lights on there, they're fundraising.
It's weird. I like the sustainable, you might hook up to the Sustainable Food Center.
I already tried to get a intern, they were already like closed off for accepting interns and stuff.
Well, just see if you can volunteer and see, because they, initially, I mean, there was a lot of great ideas and they weren't really, it was kind of goofy stuff. But in the past year and a half, they've really kind of gotten more sophisticated, their boards really got sophisticated, they're doing a lot bigger picture things than just Austin.
Oh, okay.
And so, I was looking at the board the other day, it's like something happened, and then totally changed. You know, so they're right over there in East Austin, off of that, by MLK.
Yeah, I met them at the farmer's market and tried to get with them, and
I
they
would
were cool.
just see if you can volunteer or something like that and get in there, but I think that they're doing some pretty innovative stuff, but, yeah, I'm surprised by Austin coming back, but I actually working on a project in a hurricane recovery zone on the coast, but I live in Bee Cave, so, and I've lived in Austin for years and years, and it's like, it's just not the same Austin I remember, but.
No, it isn't. My friends always come back every few years and they're like, that's a new building, that's a new building. And there's always like, now there's a Google building in Austin. Like I remember whenever the Frost Bank was going up, and that was like a new big building, and there was nothing big around there.
I
And then
know,
now
it's like,
just everything
now
just everywhere.
I know, it's like that Frost building, a lot of people think that's old now.
And it's old to me now. Like it was like 2006 or something.
Yeah.
And that's 13
I
years.
remember when they did it, and there's a lot of controversy about that. Now it's like, forget it. It's like, we're way past it now.
Because Austin tries to do its own thing, and then the government at the Capitol like usually shut Austin down and doing their own little thing. Because Austin likes to be different than the rest of the state. Like whenever the Uber came in, they wanted fingerprints for the whole city and all that stuff. But like the state is like, we're not requiring that anywhere else. You're not allowed. One city's not allowed to decide that. So they're like, we'll make our own laws. They pretty much shut down Austin anytime they can because it's like super liberal government here, and then a gigantic Republican government right there. And they just try and keep these guys in line as much as they can.
It's alien. It's kind of like the Republicans really think they're living in an alien land in Austin. They're not ever really comfortable.
Oh, it is odd for the Capitol to be here, and it's very different contrast compared to like the Capitol represents the state, and Austin represents its own little area.
Very different.
Yeah,
Just a bit dysfunctional, actually. So.
extremely dysfunctional. Roads, everything, everything.
Like I said, I live out in Bee Cave, and so I commuted in here, and I was like doing errands all over. I was like, God, what a mess. It's just a big, big
It is.
mess.
My mom lives by the 360 bridge, so not terribly far from me. But yeah, it's not. There's no easy way to go east or west in this whole area. You can go north and south, and everyone else is going to be joining you because there'll be a vast amount of traffic. But east and west, there's like nothing. It's just old roads, old county roads to go east and west. It's not great.
Yeah, it'll all get fixed, I guess, but anyway, I'm just kind of still in shock over it, but then today I was like, I can't believe this whole giant empty lot has now got buildings all over it.
Yeah.
East Austin, that just apartment complex after apartment complex, it's just overwhelming.
It's super popular now.
You know, there's a social media firm, Gas Pedal, which I met the guy who founded it. And he evidently built a new building out off of Springdale, somewhere over there. And you know, that little farm over there, I've shot that farm a bit. There's a little, really nice, a pretty big farm on Springdale Road. It's for gardening and all that, you might check it out. And talk to them because they've been there a long time. They have a little shop, but you can wander around. It's really pretty. it's an actual
It's a
farm.
Spring-
It might be just Springdale Farm, I don't even know, but it's, on Springdale, 7th Street, you go across east and turn left onto Springdale, and then you'll see the farms on the right, and it's really pretty, really old neighborhood, but it's kind of being developed.
Oh, there's Springdale. Springdale and Sadler, you have a farm near there?
There is a farm.
Oh, I see that, yeah. I see a bunch of roads.
It's really, I'm telling you, it's huge. I got
Yeah,
out there and went for a walk. one day.
Springdale and Policeman Road. And
Yeah, the
Mansell
police
Avenue.
department's over there and all that, but anyway, it's a really nice, and there's some other little farms back in different areas of that neighborhood.
Oh, yeah, I see
There's-
another one. I see Crop Rows.
Boggy Creek Farm.
Yeah, I didn't even notice those were there.
It's really a pretty area, it's just that that was historically really kind of the rundown, low
Yeah.
income. It's not now, it's being bought out and gentrified, but
Oh, there's no low income area anymore in Austin.
no. I don't think so.
Unfortunately, I know, because I grew up in Pflugerville, so I remember like being able to move around the Austin area before like the big boom of 2008, whenever like the economy went down and everybody was like, oh, we'll go to Austin. And like, you could move around pretty affordably. You can't move anywhere in Austin now. Like, if you're like a local and you don't have a mega salary from some like tech job, you don't move around. You kind of like get stuck where you're at.
Oh, yeah, it's tough. These rents, like, I always try to get a deal, because I do a lot of social media, I'm really active online, and we all have what's going on. They don't give an inch. They just want that money now.
Oh yeah.
And, they're
Oh, yeah.
it's really pretty cutthroat.
Oh, it's
I would
outside.
say.
It's not Austin people. It's outside investors building. You know, some company in
Yeah.
Chicago building places down here.
They're pretty cutthroat. And so I moved to Bee Cave, and I live in an older complex. I have the most incredible view. It's a little bit older though, and it's like family oriented. I'm like, this is great. It's like human. It's real humane.
Yeah, you have to go a little bit outside of Austin to kind of still get that Texas feel. Because even Pflugerville, the city I grew up in, is blown up. Like, my dad was the mayor when I was really young, and he has a sign. It's like John Franklin Mayor, like 1,200 people. Now, like the sign going in the town is like 70,000 people. It's like what?
I had a piece of art. I've collected art over the years from Flatbed Press, which has been around for 30 years, but I knew the founders of it, so I keep up with them. But I sold a really big, gigantic print that was like 6 feet long. So I just wasn't going to lug it around anymore. It was just too much to deal with. So a couple from Pflugerville came to see it, and they bought it. And I got the whole Pflugerville story. And they were like, yeah, we have a great place in Pflugerville. We like it up there. We hate Austin. I mean, they were like evidently pretty well off, because it wasn't cheap, it was a huge print, training and other artists and all this stuff. So I had fun kind of getting the whole why Pflugerville is great and why Austin sucks, basically.
That's probably up to debate.
To me, I remember when Pflugerville was like nothing.
It was nothing. It was
Nothing.
it was farmland. That's all it was farmland in like 2 neighborhoods.
Yeah.
That's all it was. When my dad was like, because I'm 30, so yeah, it was like 89 when he was mayor, something like that. So yeah, nothing out there. Now it's only houses. Like that's all it is. It's
I
houses,
think I went
houses,
to
houses,
a
houses.
country western dance out there at some little joint off of I-35. That's all I remember of
35?
Pflugerville. I-35, way in the
Are you sure? Because
80s.
was it more towards like Pflugerville or was it on 35?
It was just right in Pflugerville, going through,
Charlie's Steakhouse,
maybe.
right there by where the movie theater is now, like the Tinseltown.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it's probably
I
Charlie's.
remember it
Steakhouse.
was like, I just went with the group and I was like, there's like this whole country.
Yeah, if it was
thing
really
going on.
close to
There's like
35.
nothing there in the 80s.
Charlie's Steakhouse. Yep.
That's what I think of. That's what I think of.
That used to
But
be
that's-
way outside of Pflugerville too. Like that used to be a good drive.
Oh, gosh. I mean, it's just a different place. I had some friends who lived here all these years. I moved back to here and they moved to like Waco. They're like, we're gone, man. We hate it here.
Waco's not the place I'd moved though.
It's getting developed now in some good ways, but.
That's good, because it used to be very rough. It was either the Catholic school or it was really rough. Like those were your 2 areas. Of Waco.
They're renovating it a lot.
Oh, okay.
People bought in, and even the Collins Street Bakery has Tesla
Oh wow, man, they're getting California. Everything's turned California.
Somebody's figured out, here's the thing, Dallas, it's right in the middle between Dallas and Austin. So if you're doing business in those two cities, that's a good,
Yeah, whole like Bell County, like Temple, Killeen, it's like all that area is like getting blown up, huge. Georgetown's grown like crazy too, like Georgetown area. 'Cause people like it because it's pretty family oriented and it's pretty quintessential Texas.
yeah.
Compared to like you come to Austin, there's not gonna be cowboys riding around Austin. You go to Georgetown, you probably will see a cowboy or two. You know?
Yeah. I have a couple people live in Round Rock and they like it there.
Mhm.
So,
So
I
let's-
like Dale Diamond, I will say that.
I know my buddies asked me to go to the game tonight. I was like, actually, I've got a thing with startup tech. I'm not gonna be able to make it.
Yeah, it's, I don't think I need that.
This is good. Hey, how's it going?
How are you?
I'm Ryan.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. How are you?
Hi, Carolyn. Kyle, nice to meet you.
Hey, man.
Nice to see you.
Ryan.
This is super beauty.
Ryan, Hunter.
Hunter.
Kyle, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. I didn't know this was a room. They changed it now to Cisco definitely, huh?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, the tech
I like it.
person,
It looks brand new.
you know, you can do slides if you wanna do that or not. It
Yeah,
doesn't-
so where is it? How do we plug in?
There's a way to, like AirPlay, and there's like, it'll come up and give you a code to put in, but the
Okay.
techie out there is
Oh, perfect.
very
There's an
nice,
HDMI
and
there.
I can get her to come in if you'd like me to.
Cool.
Let me give this HDMI a shot.
Okay,
It's not plugging into anything though.
Well, it looks like that.
Is that HDMI? Oh, nice.
yeah,
It says do not unplug.
play on.
How's your week been?
Pretty good, how about yours?
Man, it's been fun.
That's
I had
good.
the best weekend.
Yeah, we had a awesome trip to Amarillo on Tuesday for one of our offices.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I got
That was super cool.
3 hours of sleep the night before. It was great. I was in San Francisco
Oh, wow.
up until almost 1 a.m. and then we flew out of Austin around like 7. So it was a nice little,
San Francisco's great.
yeah, it's wonderful.
See, there you go. Okay, AirPlay came up now. It should say your network Capital Factory members.
All right.
And then I know that it comes up with like a 4-digit code or something like that.
Yeah.
Eventually, when you go to the Wi-Fi and connect with the member.
I think I'm gonna X out of all my other tabs first.
This might be safer.
No one wants to see all the like chamber memberships and everything. And that agenda.
I know, that's the one thing with presentations, I'm always so nervous, it's like, I'm gonna forget. And people are gonna see my stupid, pages I'm looking at.
Yeah. Oh, and now it's trying to do an update. You know, it's like, come on, guys, let me work.
Hey, we're even. We actually are alive.
And man, I'll tell you what, I was blown away that like in a week, all these people just registered. That was awesome.
Yes, I've been trying to go ahead and email everybody, and like every Friday, and then the day before. And that's really kind of wakes them up, from all the confusion that there is. And even, even if some don't show up, we have the live stream, the recording.
Oh yeah.
And it'll be on Austin Tech Live. I'm gonna share that out in just a minute. I can see the back of my head on YouTube.
This will be online. This whole thing will be streamed.
Yes.
Okay.
They have this right here. And on Austin Tech Live is run by Apple.
Okay.
And so they usually, camera's not working.
Is it a YouTube channel or is it on the
It is
website?
YouTube
It's YouTube
channel.
channel. Okay.
Austin Tech Live. So once we get going, I'll shoot it out to all the different channels.
It's gonna do some updates here for a second. I'll wait.
All right.
So how'd you end up starting the group?
Oh, look, I got to know NTEN, Nonprofit Technology Network, NTEN.org, back in about 2008. I was not doing any tech, anything, although I was always tech inclined in research and all that. So I had a couple of group nonprofits I was working with, and they were needing constituent management software. And I was like, look, that's really not it's not really what I do. But anyway, so I got online, I said, I'll do anything. So I started searching, and I came across an NTEN report, and I got to talking to the executive director, and we kind of got to be friends, long distance. She was in Portland, they were based in Portland.
Oh, okay.
Oregon.
I didn't know that.
So basically this report was just incredible. It had, lots of different CRMs, I guess you call them, and it ranked them. It had like a big chart, and it ranked them like customer service and usability, and I mean just all the things, a huge amount of data and how it ranked. So I took the top 10 out of that big giant list, and I called every single company to get a demo and to find out what they were about. And so I did my own like super ranking. And then the two groups are a little different, so I suggested 2 different platforms for them to start with, based on that research. But I just, what was amazing is what, companies that get really, they have big names and they're real popular and they're all over, and how terrible their customer service can be.
Yeah.
And when you're like stuck and you're like just a small nonprofit and you're stuck and you've got to fix something, and you actually need a human being. And I had one group at that time, now that's been 10 years, but one group was just like, what do you need? What do you need? Yeah, I'll fix that. Yeah, no, go over here. Here's how you do it. I just fell in love with those guys. I became friends with, that was Jeff Gordy of Z2 Neon. And he was brand new, and he was so friendly and helpful, because when you're working on it, you need somebody sometimes. So I suggested that group particularly for one of my nonprofits. But I was so grateful for that report, that research report, that got me funneled into that way.
It was the catalyst.
And they've done iterations of that to update that study. And there's, if you go on the NTEN.org website, there are other reports on different types of topics and security and all that. And that just saved my life, because I thought, I'm just going to look stupid because I'm not going to know what to tell these nonprofits. But as it turns out, I was able to tell them. So I then spoke at a couple of nonprofit technology conferences, and I have authored some articles for NTEN. And then when I returned to Austin in 2013, Dale Thompson, who will be here, she was running the tech club, but it was kind of off again. I had immediately, when I got here, started coming to Capital Factory events.
Yeah.
So I was just like, this is great. I was like having a blast.
Oh, they are a
So
blast.
I was just like, whoa!
Yeah.
I was so happy. So I contacted Capital Factory and I said, look, we kind of need a space to meet at, meeting in the coffee shop or whatever. We have a great coffee shop. I don't want to put them down. But you know what I mean. To be in a professional space where we can have a live stream. And
Sometimes classrooms are great for
a
learning.
professional environment for people to speak that's associated with tech. So through that, 2004, 15, I got Capital Factory to us half space, and then we affiliated with NetSquared, which actually is a division of TechSoup, which is global. So our tech club is networked nationally and then globally through TechSoup. So I'm in conversation with them all the time about stuff, and I actually, all my career up through 2009-ish was major gift fundraising, a very traditional, old-fashioned, universities. I worked with 3 different, you know what I'm saying, that old stuff. And so I got thrown, though, into a couple of situations where the campaigns had to be, they had very sophisticated donors and they had very not sophisticated staff. It's like you could have Prince Charles here, and I had somebody who was born and raised in a small town, South Texas, with high school education, maybe. So I was brought into these situations to be the person to make it happen, because basically they can talk to each other all the time. And if there's nobody to write the grant proposal, to follow the timeline, to do the follow-up report, to organize the meeting, to get the private plane coming in at the right time to meet the other one that's coming from Fort Worth. So, you know what I'm saying? It was that kind of work. So I just was out in the middle of nowhere. I called it air traffic control.
You're just doing
And I was
logistics all
like
day.
I was already really into, you know, like searching. Nobody can beat me on Google. So I was like, search, research, what about this. So, you know, I just like ramped up the whole deal. So I was tech inclined. My dad was a aerospace engineer at NASA. He worked on the first human mission.
Wow, cool.
So our whole family, we had the first key, you know, adding machine. You know, we had the first Apples. I mean, that was it. My dad was going to have it. That's it. It exists. I'm having it. It's like they were so expensive back then too. But he just loved that stuff. So we were always inclined to like future things,
Lean in to
modern
tech.
things, in electronics. I was around. You know, he was like he could build a TV from scratch. You know, that kind of a thing. So I'm just weird that way. I thought that was normal, but it was not. You know. So I was already tech inclined, just being around him. You know, with no training in it. Just that was our life. So anyway, I just kept going, and then I came to Capital Factory for some events, and I was so happy. I was like, you know, this is like reminds me of growing up. It's like there's a problem, let's fix it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And let's use technology to do that. So NTEN was a formal way through that association to kind of hook into it, and then I just had a lot more contacts. It was had a little bit more time than Dale did to really organize programs. So we've just been building on that. And
Thank you for doing that. It's important to the entire industry.
It is really just to get word out, and you know, like I said, once this will be recorded and all that, we'll put it up on we'll put it on our NTEN page as follow-up.
Yeah.
People can go on there and they go, oh, here's the awesome tech live deal. Here's the deal right here with our students.
There you go.
So,
Hey, how are ya?
so anyway,
Hello, I'm the Paula stuff.
Well, we may have everyone sit up front and the camera's capturing right there.
Oh, yeah.
I know it kind of gets.
No.
Okay, cool.
This way, we'll see what's
Yeah,
next.
always slide one.
What slide is next? We're just gonna slide this back here. Let's see. Kombucha in the spot. So what do you say to UT?
I'm a geography sustainability student,
Interesting.
so sustainability in a
Okay.
sense. But I'm more of like a sustainable technology person, but like mechanical technology, power generation. But I did take some classes that introduced me away from the environmental part of sustainability, more into the equality part. So that's what I'm
cool.
trying to kind of, I wouldn't want to say kill two birds with one stone, but like learn multiple things that like, so this is tech, this is also a nonprofit, this is multiple things I need for, I have a class project due. It's not big, I just have to come to the Capital Factory and do something, and mostly it was just go to the, what's it called, the tour of it, but actually, I actually wanted to learn something rather than just go to the tour and be gone in 5 minutes, so.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I figured this would be the best
You're like
match.
what my school would have called like a true conflict studies major.
Okay.
And the alignment of multiple disciplines
Okay.
to forming your own major, basically.
Mhm.
A liberal arts guy, I am. but
Yeah, it's what I'm in, the geography part, so.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, I'm not I'm not really sure if I
Well,
can create
it'll-
my own.
It'll be kind of interesting, like, to hear your interpretation of how we aim to use technology to make lives better for children and families.
Mhm.
And there's certainly an equality angle there, right?
Yeah.
It's socioeconomic, but then there's also cultural, there's also
Absolutely.
cultural alignments there.
No, see, that's the thing is like, I come from a or mechanical technology background, so like whenever I got to the 3 E's of environment, economy, equality, equality's like, I'm worried about the trees, I'm worried about the oxygen, so like, this is a whole new thing for me. And that's what I'm kind of expanding in.
Cool.
Because you can plant a bunch of trees, but where do you plant them? Do you plant them with the rich people? Do you plant them with the poor people? Do you plant them with everybody? So it's like, it's everything. There's a lot more to it than just the environment. Because that's kind of what I got.
Are you from Austin?
Yeah, I've grown up here my whole life.
Yeah, so there you know the interesting ways inequality has really been written in to
Yeah,
our
like
to our
35.
city planning.
You couldn't
right?
get a loan if you're black if you were on this side of I-35.
Right.
You could only go, and it's actually called Blackland over there. That's the name of the neighborhood. It's called Blackland. So like,
Yeah.
it's pretty much written into the.
No, it literally was
Yeah.
in
Hyde Park
1928.
too.
Yeah.
Hyde Park.
Yeah.
That's one of the recent things that's out right now is under debate is rezoning of Hyde Park because it was zoned, I believe, in 1864. And it was, or maybe 1894 is one of those two.
There was an 1894 zoning, yeah.
I think it was
1928 one as well, yeah. That's fine.
94.
Yeah.
And in the actual description of it, it's like, keep this neighborhood, essentially keep it white, is what it says. And it's still zoned that way.
The council tonight is supposed to send their recommendations to the city manager, but they're already not gonna, but we'll see.
Cool.
Questions, yeah. I have my own opinions, but yeah.
Yeah, that's how I kind of got into the
Cool,
whole.
man.
Because this, I mean,
Well,
it's
I'm
not.
glad you heard about this.
Yeah, it's
and
not
came.
necessarily environmental, but it's part of, sustainability is reaching everyone. You can't be sustainable with one group.
I think you'll really enjoy our why then.
Okay.
We'll talk about, that framework will, I think, help you think about then where can you take what you're learning now and then apply it in your career, or at least I hope so.
Yeah. Because honestly, I don't even know exactly what I'm going to do in my career because I have such a wide range of background.
And the job you're gonna enter might not even exist.
No.
Right now.
That's the thing is I'm trying to do everything that maybe exists in the next 20 years, or it's going to continue to exist because like I was doing power generation with oil and gas, and that's going away. That's not getting any bigger necessarily. It's going to shrink sooner or later. It will. So like I'm trying to stay on the curve.
What year are you?
I'll be done next year. So I'm
Okay.
pretty much a senior. I need one more semester. So December I'm done.
Excited?
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then I don't know. I've been looking to maybe move up to Oregon and continue doing that because like I have my family from Oregon, so go up there and live in Portland.
Great.
I like to do the summers and stay here in the winter, but I don't know if that's gonna happen. Their summers are really nice and their winters are cold and dark.
That idea, that would be
From
an idea.
Seattle.
Oh, okay, then yeah. I was in Seattle over spring break and it was un-Seattle-like. It was,
Gorgeous.
I could see the Olympian mountains from the Seattle Space Needle, no problem, covered in snow. Beautiful, clear day.
Really?
It was so funny, yeah, and it was spring break, so it was the middle of March, and it's usually,
Usually cloudy.
cloudy,
around
a little
it.
spring break.
June to September there. June to late September is pretty much the trap
Yeah,
because people come and visit, right? And then
Uh.
this is beautiful. We're moving here because it's better than California during those months.
Yeah.
It's just
oh, it's amazing.
upper 70s, lower 80s, green as can be, right? Lakes, beaches, ocean,
Everything.
music.
Where are we talking about?
Seattle.
Washington during
Yeah.
the months of June, July, August, September.
Oh, okay.
Those are the,
Yeah, it was
people will
nice.
see that.
Because
they'll
Rainier was
move
like
up.
full white, and you
Oh,
could
yeah.
see it clearly, so it was just like, wow.
Beautiful. Yeah, 0 to 14,000, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy to see.
Yeah, I haven't skied Rainier yet. I've skied Mount Hood plenty of times, down in Portland, but I'm
Nice.
trying to get up to Washington and get some skiing in there.
Yeah, I know, that's good. In
It's-
my college days, I went to CU Boulder, Colorado, so
Oh, okay, yeah. Colorado's more expensive to ski than like the Northwest.
they had college packages though.
Oh, that's nice.
So it was like 50% off for the year.
That's huge.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, 'cause, like you can go to
That's
Mount
absurd.
Hood. You can go to Mount Hood for like $99 and you can be like lift ticket, everything. Colorado, it's like 120, and then you haven't even got everything else
I
yet.
forget what the price was, but I wanna say it was like it was like 600 or something for the full year.
Yeah,
Oh
that's
my
really
gosh,
cheap.
that's
Yeah.
dirt cheap.
Yeah, for skiing, it's really cheap.
That's awesome.
Especially in Colorado, which has become an expensive place too.
Everywhere, yeah, it's a lot of places, but makes it, expensive to, it's just, it's the text that just exploded there. Oh, there we go, we got some.
That is definitely different than like the 45 I paid to just swim.
Hey, everybody.
Down the back.
How are ya? Good.
So did it start at 6 or 6?
6:30.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, probably it was so
Hey man, you were punctual.
Yeah, I was here at
No one can
5:50.
accuse you of
Yeah.
being late.
Yeah, no, usually early, extra early.
Do you guys want to go a bottle of water while I'm
Like
talking?
a glass of wine would be nice.
You guys want
Settle for water.
Yeah, well, I'll take one, sure.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't know if I'm in the right place. We know for AR, VR,
Oh, that's
Oh,
upstairs.
16th floor, room ACL.
16th.
If you go immediately to the right, when you walk through the elevators, walk through the glass doors, it's a huge conference room.
Okay, 16th ACL.
Yeah, you
Thank
can't miss it, but immediately to the right. Austin city limits.
How do I get to the elevator?
Oh. So
I'm gonna start that around. Oh, let me write it down, upgrade.
It's like a huge ramp, yeah. Yeah, and there's a keypad, you gotta press 16 on the keypad, there's no numbers.
Need a pen?
Yeah, I don't see it.
Probably won't.
That's all right. Right.
Thank you.
Yeah. We have a ton of food, if you're the least bit hungry. Might have overdone it. Yeah, I'm gonna get some more water. Be right back.
Toast our one.
Oh, it's
That's
prepared.
it.
Water?
How's it going? Awesome. It's been a great week.
So this is, can I make a small request? This is gonna be on YouTube and,
Yes,
it's that camera, I think, right there, right?
yes.
Do you guys mind doing the first and second row if possible? So we're loaded up, there's a million people. Love it.
Yeah,
And also so we can
for
see
real.
pretty faces.
But for real. Carolyn's given this opportunity, we want to take advantage of it.
Yay.
I want to make sure you guys get these too. Josh. Josh, yeah. Welcome. Nice to meet you. Wow. Ivy? Yes, nice to meet you. Pleasure. Hey, John. I'm Sam. Nice to meet you. Sam?
I guess I'll go through too. Hi, Ryan. Josh. Josh.
Nice to meet you. Pass this to you. What's your name? Andre. Andre?
Hi, Ryan. Nice to meet you. Hi, Ryan.
Hi, Ryan. Dave.
Nice to meet you. Pleasure. We've asked if possible, if y'all wouldn't mind doing like first two rows, just for the sake of being able to engage with you.
Yeah.
What's up, man? Right, nice to meet you.
Posted it all over the place.
Thank you.
I think when Dale gets back, we can go ahead.
Cool.
Let's just go ahead and come when they got, that's it.
Awesome.
And Dale's your partner in crime?
Yes, who ordered the food, the
Nice.
Subway
Subway Queen.
feast, the Subway feast over there. She has been.
I will be hitting that up if there's some left at the end of this hour.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure there will be.
Yeah, you don't have to raise your hand. You go for it.
So Andre and I here for like a class, so is it
Yeah.
fine if we take like a few pictures?
Yeah, that's
Heck
fine.
yeah.
Prove it.
Just use
Get out.
portrait mode, you know? You know.
And we'll be on Austin.
And we're tall, so you want to put the angle up high so we get contours of our face, you know?
If you needed to come.
What class? Where y'all at?
University of Texas.
Awesome.
Technology marketing.
Hunting?
Yeah.
Oh, the MSTC program?
For hunting.
Oh, right now?
Yep.
Oh, nice. Adam Steele and Matt Glazer are my boys. Are you guys in classes with them right now? Are you in the beginning of the process, end of it?
Might know him as Professor Steve.
Wait, which class are you talking about?
They're in the MSTC program. It's with the Macomb School of Business. It's like their technology commercialization. Really great program.
I'm actually not with that program. I'm just taking the class. It's like,
Oh, you're just taking
Yeah,
class.
professor
Gotcha.
hunting class.
we're actually both like neuroscience majors, so not even
Oh,
anything to
man.
do with technology. But yeah, we were interested in taking the class. So
Cool.
we're here.
Okay, Dale's back. We're gonna
Dale's
start.
back, all right. Just want to make sure everyone's here for.
Thank you for the supply.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah, please,
Thank
we
you,
have a
Dale.
lot of food.
Water.
I just want to say thanks for coming, and thanks to our speakers from Upbring. You're going to get kind of the inside track on a really pretty new concept and a bunch of great activities that are going on. I wanted to thank Capital Factory for letting us meet in this space free of charge and live stream on Austin Tech Live, which is very helpful because we find we have a lot of people who want to log in later and check it out. And also, we're co-sponsored by NTEN, Nonprofit Technology Network, which is based in Portland, Oregon, and NetSquared, which is a division of TechSoup, and that's global. So I have posted links to our live stream on all of their pages, so we'll see what happens with that. I also wanted to say we have a sponsor who gives us gifts for our guest speakers. I know you're supposed to do this at the end, but I wanted to thank Trianon Coffee and
Nice.
to just so you have some
Oh,
gourmet coffee
man.
beans, the house blend, there's the
Oh,
All right.
you are speaking to my heart.
So that puts you in a
Thank
good
you.
mood to start. We thank Stacy
Yes.
and her family for that,
Awesome.
and really appreciate your taking the time.
Absolutely.
So,
Thanks.
Well, that's why we're here. It's been fun. We'll see you later. No, actually, I just want to make sure everyone's here. This is the talk on Game of Thrones in the Trump era. So actually, my name is Ryan Park. I'm the Director of Innovation at Upbring and Upbring Innovation Labs. This is Kyle Kerrigan. He is our Senior Business Analyst. Just want to give you a quick background and also a little preface. This is going to be conversational, so we want y'all to learn, and we don't want to be presenting at you. We want to be kind of explain what we're doing, but hopefully you get something out of this as well. For the people in school, that you learn something here. For people not in school, that you also learn something here, or that you also can give us some feedback. So, just briefly, my background. I spent about 6 years as an entrepreneur in the digital space. After doing that, I worked for another 4 years or so in the digital entertainment space, working with online publications. Majority of what I did when I was an entrepreneur was seated more in application development, digital campaigns, digital design, a lot of the stuff that you're probably learning in your class right now. And then Kyle, if you want to give your background, Kyle's our Senior Business Analyst. You want to tell him what that means and
Yeah.
give me your
so
background as well?
what that looks like at Upbring is somebody focused on SROI, so social return on investment, as well as ROI, and then business planning, so looking at when we have an idea, a new endeavor, an earned revenue stream, a business line we're going to create, or an investment we're going to make, what that impact is gonna look like, what it's gonna take on the implementation side, and then deciding, okay, ops team, here's how you might deploy it, and then letting the people that know that space best then take it forward. And in fact, it's really helpful to think about what Ryan and I do at Upbring by stuff that we probably all maybe take for granted in this room. Frankly, life has never been easier for us. So when you think about Uber Eats, I mean, any app that helps get stuff to your home or you somewhere else really quick, we recognize there's a lot of value in those technologies. And so when we think about our why, it's we ask, so we have all this great technology and all convenience in life, why can't we harness that power of those technologies and ultimately make lives better for children in foster care and those in the well-being, children well-being space across Texas. And so our mission at Upbring is to break the cycle of child abuse by empowering children, families, and communities. And so on the innovation lab front, when we think about Upbring Innovation Labs, we're contributing to that mission by identifying or creating and even investing in breakthrough innovations or technologies. So if you take anything else away from this conversation, I mean, if you don't remember my name or Ryan's, just remember we are a platform to explore ideas. And so to learn a little bit about how we'll go through that, we're going to talk about our approach to innovation at Upbring. You have a little handout that we'll reference here in a few minutes to help explain that approach. We're going to talk about the context in which we operate too. So we're a big organization, and we'll explain how that benefits innovation. We'll talk through how we conduct ideation sessions. That's where we're going out through our human-centered design approach and collecting ideas from the field and our key stakeholders. We'll then walk through our first product, Upbring Marketplace, that's referenced on the magnet you have in front of you, promoting something we really care a lot about, but is already making a difference for a lot of children and families we serve. We'll talk about a few upcoming projects, and then for those of you that are interested in getting involved, we're helping talk about what you can do from here. So I think what's important to understand about Upbring and maybe people don't know about all nonprofits there's some big ones out there, and there's some really savvy ones. We consider ourselves one of the best. In fact, we have 45 locations across Texas, and you can probably tell it might not be 45 right there on that map. That's because this map is already outdated. We're growing very quickly. And we bring to bear an $80 million budget to that diverse operational structure. So when we look at our operations and then the administration, there has to be a lot of savvy people with a high level of big business acumen to take forward and manage that. Then we have an $80 million operating budget. So what 45 locations, 800 employees, and $80 million does is it creates an opportunity or a platform, right? That creates a huge platform for us to explore ideas. And so we do that here at Capital Factory, where we are connected to entrepreneurs, innovators, investors. We also do that at the Center for Social Innovation, where we also have a membership on the east side. And so we're connected to the social entrepreneurs like us, where we can borrow their best practices and share and learn. And in these places like Capital Factory, we're exploring big questions. And some might not surprise you, but not as many people in the child well-being place are asking these questions as we'd like, and that's why we're trying to lead the way. We're asking, how can new data infrastructures and technologies ultimately help us make lives better for kids in foster care? And then when we think about new programs or services, how can those new programs and services create better outcomes? Specifically, what can we measure that's going to change the lives of children and families? And then, like Capital Factory, the Center for Social Innovation, and others, what startups, entrepreneurs, what corporations can we partner with to shape innovation, right? So we recognize we need to bring people into our orbit to help expose us to new ideas and ultimately grow the new businesses we want to create. So I'll turn it over to Ryan to talk about what you have right in front of you, our human-centered approach to innovation.
Yeah, and just a couple questions real quick. So Kyle and I have only presented a couple times together. We've been running the Innovation Lab for a little over a year. I've been at Upbring for about 2 years, so I'd like to get some feedback. How many of you currently, based off what we just said, know what we do, even? Some shit, exactly, okay. So, if you wanna go back one slide real quick.
Yeah, sure.
So upbringing, in the most simple form, people would call us a foster care agency. So, Child Protective Services, when they take a child out of their home for traumatic events that you wouldn't even wanna imagine, they get placed with a foster care agency who places them with a family. That foster care agency's job, essentially, is to be with that child throughout their foster care experiences. Most foster care agencies are foster care agencies. Upbring is not just a foster care agency where we focus on the health and safety of the child, but we also provide educational services. We have, I don't know now because we just added 12, but I want to say 28 schools across Texas. We also provide life skills, so many of the things, if you grew up in a middle class or higher family, you've experienced life skills that you didn't even know were being bestowed upon you, but these life skills aren't inherent with a lot of the children that we serve, as well as vocational skills. So just because they're in a home safe, what happens when they turn 17, 18 years old, and they need to go get a job or go to college, right? So Upbring provides a wraparound of services for these children. As you can see, we are across the state. One of the other things, because we're so excited to talk to y'all today, that we forgot to do at the beginning, just by show of hands, I want to get a lay of the land here. We've got a couple of students, right, if you want to raise your hand. How many of you, or any of you work in nonprofit? Okay, so 4 here. Any of you work in tech and design specifically? Okay, so some of the tech and design stuff that we're talking about today might be redundant, I'm not sure. But bear with us, hopefully it adds some value. So if you want to go next slide. So for those of you not familiar with human-centered design, the techies might be, in the child well-being realm, it's not something that's often used in child welfare. So a quick definition may be helpful. So human-centered design is essentially a design and management framework to involve people's feedback throughout the process of design. So at Upbring, we would say involve their feedback throughout the innovation process. So this confusing graph up here is a look at kind of our process at Upbring. And we're going to take you through just a bit of our process today because we'd love for y'all to get involved. But at Upbring, we have quite a wide customer base, at least as far as our innovation lab is concerned. We talk with foster parents, we talk with biological parents, employees at our company. The government is very involved when you're a foster care agency, businesses as well as social workers. And what we do as an innovation lab as the first step to actually start fielding business ideas is go out into the community and actually sit down with our customers or even with our staff. We'll sit down and we'll actually have an ideation session with them and look at some of the pain points that they experience in their life as stakeholders in the foster care system. From that, we try to find some opportunities with them. Most of these people are not used to thinking in an entrepreneurial mindset. The industry that we work in is very process-oriented, and it's very focused on staying within the regulations. That often is because we do a lot of grant funding, and we work with foundations. So when you work with the government and foundations, you mimic them. And so this whole creative space of innovation tends to be new in child welfare. Actually, to my knowledge, Upbring Innovation Labs is the first innovation lab from a space, but they're more at universities and focus on policy and research and not technology integration. So just briefly going down the path, after conducting an ideation session, multiple ideation sessions across Texas, we usually come back to the table with anywhere from 40 to 50 ideas, and we'll sit down with our senior leaders and look at those ideas and decide which of these ideas are actually worth pursuing. Kyle plays a huge role in essentially establishing those ideas a little bit more and putting business cases around the ideas that come in from across our org. Not all ideas are good. In fact, sometimes it'll take 50 to 100 ideas before we actually have some type of business idea that's even worth exploring at Upbring. But once we put it through that process, which we'll take you through one of the ideas, which is the Upbring Marketplace, well, Kyle and I will get together with contractors as well as stakeholders within our organization to actually design an MVP, a minimum viable product. Throughout this process, if you get nothing from this confusing graph, in terms of human-centered design approach to innovation, this dotted line is critical. So throughout the process, as we take an idea from inception to actually potentially scaling it and launching it, we're constantly going back to the children and family in our cares, to our social workers, and getting their feedback on the design of the product, its stickiness, and if it's even worth pursuing. So Kyle, if you want to go through, I think the marketplace or where we start.
Well, yeah, let's
go for it.
Yeah, we'll start at that customer experience part. And actually, the ideation session begins before we actually sit down with that team, whether it be a foster care office, the administration of one of our schools. And we'll send out some prep work. We're not expecting folks to spend a lot of more than 5-10 minutes, but it's important because we don't want to put guardrails up. We just want to put some guideposts for when those folks are coming in and thinking creatively with us. So what this will include are, first of all, what are those strategically significant areas we want to explore? So what matters for the organization's next 3 years, where we kind of want people focused in general, right? And then we'll talk about what those big buckets are. That for right now, and for this quarter, it's VR, it's different fundraising or development tools. And so we're giving them that in advance to kind of get their minds in that area. We'll take any idea, but we do have some specific objectives this fiscal year that we need to explore. Then we'll talk about what we don't want, because right now we're not going to change state statute in the next 3 months. So no public policy ideas this session, right? Maybe something down the road, but at least right now we're focused on new products and services. And then we'll talk about, we'll try to offer them some food for thought. And this is really the bulk of when we talk about stimuli. They're big questions. So a couple examples up here. You can't read them, but the point is, it's big questions like where do you want to see children and youth services in Texas in 5, 10, 20 years? Questions like that prompt our folks that are day-to-day spending anywhere 40 to 60 hours a week in front of children and families, traveling all over the state to meet in home, out of home, wherever those families are. Sometimes pulling your head up can be kind of tough, and we recognize that. So we're giving them as much information up front, a little bit of information up front at least, to prompt them to lift the head and think with us for that hour, which is really precious to their day. And that's when the innovation session begins.
Yeah, and one of the things that we don't have up here, but we start every innovation session that we do with something that's really kind of goofy and playful. And the purpose of this, again, is that we're a really process-oriented industry. And I'm not sure, for those of you that currently work in nonprofit, if you work in a process-oriented industry, but when it's about process orientation, when it's about following regulations, the creative brain isn't working that much, right? You're focused on doing the job right, not getting in trouble, risk aversion. So then you got two knuckleheads like us coming in and being like, we want to do an ideation session. And people are like, well, what are the rules, right? So we try and get people into this mindset, a little bit more of a creative mindset, and we'll ask them to, we'll take them through a project where we put them on an island per se and ask them to pick an object in the room and then any object anywhere in the world. And we'll come back together and we'll ask them, why did they pick these objects? What's interesting is that people, half of the people want to stay on the island, so they'll pick something to stay on the island. You know, maybe they don't love the job, maybe their husband or wife's annoying, but they want to stay on the island. The other half is thinking about items that they want to get off the island. So we just like to be a little playful to start. From there, what we do is we try and narrow it down just a little bit, and we ask them, what their BHAG is within our industry. So just by show of hands, how many of you have heard what a BHAG is? Okay, so a BHAG is a big, hairy, audacious goal, and it's basically in this room. If you were thinking of a goal that you had 5 to 15 years, whether it's for yourself, whether it's for your department, your company, school, what it is a goal that seems so daunting and lofty. It's doable at some of them, might be impossible, but it gives you that little bit of a goal. What is that big, hairy, audacious goal? And the reason that we ask them this question is to get them thinking about the possibilities, not the reasons why they can't do something or why we can't do something, but to think about, okay, if money's not an issue, if regulations aren't an issue, if the processes could be changed, what is your big, hairy, audacious goal? So one of the things we actually want y'all to do for a minute or two today is think about your job or your school or where you are in life, whether it's personal, whether it's at your company or whether it's for your industry, and just take a moment for a minute or two and write down your big, hairy, audacious goal. If you don't have a pen, we've got a couple. We've got one.
Markers in there.
Yeah.
This might be one.
You can do it on your phone maybe too, if you want to do it on your phone. Okay. That would be easier, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll give you about 20 more seconds here. All right, does anybody want to share their goal? We'll probably call on a couple of you, so first come first, go for it.
I'd like to,
Can you explain who you are, your background? and then-
my name is Hunter. I'm at UT. I have a background in power generation and sustainability. I would like to get into creating a vertical farm, I don't want to say enterprise, but something that's not just in one city, a large company that does vertical farming in lower end area and puts good food and jobs where they need to be. So like East Austin, put in, like take an old rundown building, put in the vertical farm system, teach people who don't necessarily have good jobs or any education in that area how to feed themselves, make money, and sell it to continue to actually be sustainable enterprise.
It's awesome.
Awesome.
I feel like we're going to get a wide range of BHAGs, so it's going to be fun. Anybody want to go next? Go for it.
You know, I'd like to figure out a way where I can develop my own virtual currency and then just help anybody that needs help. You know what I mean? I don't know. They say,
Yeah.
I don't really know much about the crypto world. We're actually working on a crowdfunding platform. We can buy computers, make money for us.
I think I saw you present at South by.
Oh, really? Cool. Yeah, that was
Yeah, we were there too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Rockefeller Foundation area.
Yeah. That's
I loved your y'all's talk.
Yeah, cool. Appreciate you. That's awesome.
Anyone else? I'd love to hear from one of the college guys over here that have to be here for class. Go for it.
Alright, I'm Andre, I go to UT and I study neuroscience, and I'd like to be able to develop a cure for Alzheimer's and other neurodegenerative diseases.
Now that's a BHAG.
Thanks for sharing those. And you can imagine, because ideas become really vary at that stage, we need to do a little bit more narrowing, right? So the next step is when we'll talk through our 4 types of innovations with our folks. And we might have an ideation session specifically focused on one of these or all. Doesn't matter. Right now we're focused on products and services. But you can imagine products and services for us are like products and services for anyone. What will bear fruit in the market, right? It's new products that we might be able to either sell within our industry or markets outside. It doesn't matter if you want to buy it, that's fine with us. But there are other services we might be able to provide across our scale and size that other child well-being agencies can benefit from. We don't really view them as competitors in our space. There are enough children and families in need right now, unfortunately, for us all to serve people. But we recognize too, we're in a position to change the industry, and indeed that's our ambition. Then processes. These might be technology investments, for instance, that make things more efficient when it comes to that direct service provision. Something as simple as a new client management system, all the way to a virtual reality application for employee training. Then we think about organizational. Well, you're looking at one of the organizational innovations right here. It's the Innovation Lab in and of itself. It's maybe things like employees working remotely, cultural changes. Those are big things that really just impact our organization, but we know maybe they're really cost effective. They'll benefit our employees' mental health in the long term. Those things we can ideally measure, but are more internal. And then marketing. Exactly what you might expect, but not necessarily related to our great marketing department. They handle all our big campaigns, and they do an excellent job. They're actually work pretty closely in alignment with us, because everything we do, we got to tell people about right away, right? So they're helping us lead when we have a new product or service. But when we talk about marketing in terms of innovations, we're looking at maybe strategic partnerships, maybe acquisitions of a product we create. That'd be great too. But these are the 4 types of innovation. Anything we're looking at, we want to put in one of these 4 buckets. And so then we look at those, we want to find the high-level ideas that might fit in there, and Ryan will talk about that.
Yeah, so this is essentially our version of, at some level, a SWOT analysis. So when we sit down with a group, we take them through the BHAG, we explain to them kind of the process of what we do. Then we'll go in, and this is where kind of the meat of what we do really, we'll see some fantastic ideas surface, and people don't even realize that they're giving us amazing ideas. At the end of the day at Upbring, you know, we'll be, I keep saying 700, 800, but we're going to be 1,000 employees here in a month. So we're 1,000 employees, and we've got a little over a dozen senior leaders at our organization. Some of those senior leaders have great ideas, but some of the best ideas possible come from the boots on the ground. They come from our social workers that are dealing with the families every day. They come with the people that they work with in the community. So we'll sit down with them and say, let's start with, on a positive note, what are some of the strengths? You're coming into the office, you know this is going to be your go-to, you know that it's going to go well, and you know that it's either you or Upbring, or it's your office specifically at Upbring that's just going to knock it out of the park. And we'll get a laundry list of strengths. Then the very interesting one is going into the challenges, and this is where you know, the pre-ideation session stimuli that Kyle was talking about is really key to setting up kind of boundaries. We want to make sure that our staff doesn't look at us as like HR or a complaint box necessarily. So what we do in kind of the pre-ideation session stimuli is set boundaries to say, hey, we want to look at some of the challenges, but we want to look at them in a positive light. So you come into the office, what are some of the challenges? You may have seen other agencies or other companies outside of child well-being or outside of nonprofit doing it well, but for some reason it's not going well in your office, or it's not going well at our company or in the industry. And then we'll put all those ideas up on the board, and this is where you see kind of a light bulb switch with a lot of our family service workers, where we'll say, okay, we've got all these ideas, now what? And they'll be quiet, they won't know what to do, they're thinking of it in this HR mentality of here's all our complaints, and here's all our complaints, but here's all our challenges, and here's all our strengths, do something about it. When we put the power in their hands to say, okay, now you're an entrepreneur, now money's not an issue, you've got a ton of funding from some angel investor at Capital Factor that just came in and gave you a ton of money. There's no regulation concerns. What kind of business ideas do you want to bring to the table? And this is where, surprisingly, we get some great ideas. The first idea, Kyle is going to talk with you about.
Yeah, so I'm pretty pumped about this. So, and the story behind Upbring Marketplace is one that really validates a lot of our approach and gave us a lot of room to improve as well. And it started with, I guess, has anyone ever made an Amazon wish list or donated on one? Yeah? Well, awesome. Thanks for your generosity. Probably went to somebody that needed it, and we all need to contribute. Well, those wish lists are pretty great. In fact, we had an employee create one because a family's need came up pretty quickly. Can't go into the details about what made the situation emergent, but suffice it to say it was. And she put up that wish list. The items were purchased within days. The family's needs were met quickly in a time of need, but it got us thinking. And what it also got us thinking, specifically in our development department, who said, we got to thank these folks. I mean, when it comes to a dozen of people contributing, that's a point of entry for that donor and organization relationship, and we want to also be good stewards of that kindness. But we only got their names. We didn't get their contact information. So it's like, okay, what does that mean for us? It went directly to the family, and it went there quickly. We don't have the contact information, and it happened to be all the right stuff, right? So we had this opportunity of things that emerged from a donor to all the right things we need in an expedited way, as well as coordination internally among several departments. So it's like, okay, we got something here, right? From a mission standpoint, the needs of the youth are being met through this tool. And we have donors that, okay, we can provide an even better donor experience than that. And our staff, who across the state are spending thousands of hours. Now, when you look at it from 800 employees, yeah, it's maybe a handful of hours, but we look at thousands of hours, almost 6,000, we're spending managing in-kind donations. So in-kind being anything that's not cash, right? So it's donating a pair of shoes, it's giving a shirt, toys, those key needs that create normalcy for a family and allow for stable transitions when somebody enters or leaves foster care. Those are really critical. So we have this alignment of staff, of all of our key stakeholders, right? It's really hard to get beyond staff, donors, and the people we serve. And that's where Upbring Marketplace was born. In fact, we're already seeing it make a difference in a few different ways. But when you go to upbring.org/shop, you'll be presented with a branding experience that maintains integrity for us and stewards donors through a process where they can give to the site they choose by scrolling through our programs in specific areas. Recall 45 locations across Texas. Well, is my gift, I'm in McAllen, is my gift going to somebody in Austin or Amarillo? I kind of want it to go to somebody down the road in McAllen, right? Well, we're providing donors, especially millennials, that continue to go online, like Ryan and I, and make gifts. We're trying to meet them where they're at. Funny story about this too. Down in Houston, during Hurricane Harvey, we received a pallet of shampoo that I could use. But when we look at that area and who we serve, the African American community makes up the bulk of the children in that area in which we serve. That donation can kind of go wasted, right? We don't want that to happen. We ended up driving that across the state and making good use of it because we want to be good stewards of donations, but there's inefficiencies there, right? We can realize some cost savings, and again, there's some staff headaches involved in driving across Texas, right? That's a lot of windshield time. So being able to direct donors to exactly what we need in terms of what's most urgent as well, or even being able to search from an experience standpoint. I skipped over this on the first slide. But experience is something, as soon as we release this, and this goes back to our process of customer feedback. Once we release this, ears perked up internally. Well, you know what else we need? You know, after-school activity is really expensive for foster care families. The reimbursement rates really meet the bare minimum of food, shelter, and clothing. But what about the kiddo that wants to go to the aquarium, or the child that might need driver's ed help, band practice? There's 101 different things that foster care parents are asked to pay for all the time that are in addition to. It's above and beyond, and they do go above and beyond, but we think we can alleviate some of that burden by directing and providing an awesome donor experience too. For me, I mean, participating in swimming after school and those extracurriculars, I mean, it really adds up to a lot of money. And my parents provided that, but that's really something that if I see and experience, that kind of even resonates with me personally even more. So again, we're trying to provide options for all of our donors. And so when we look at going back to the branding and donor experience part 2, when in the checkout, we found this to be key. We want to reiterate exactly where that donation is going and the impact. So ultimately, Upbring Marketplace is a great example of how we took a customer experience all the way to right about here in our process. And that's where we're at right now because we launched it in November. And so we're right now forming our next phase. I'll let Ryan talk about that. But this process is important because it helped us find that alignment between the people we serve, the people we're trying to bring into our network to add value, and then the people on the ground, our staff, our team members that are doing the good work.
And you can leave that up there actually for a sec. You maybe think, okay, great, you've got basically an e-commerce shop, right? It says shopping for yourself, shopping for others, and critical needs, great. Where this actually becomes a piece of the innovation lab at the core of our function is to create new revenue streams outside of Upbring. Upbring's our sandbox, so we get this feedback. We would love all of y'all to give us feedback and be brutally honest. There's a couple things I saw on the screenshot there where I was like, the design could tweak a little bit. We're working with community partners as well as user experience designers to give us their feedback on what's currently up there to make the experience better. The next phase of that, where we then, Kyle kind of takes a look at the value and impact. He had mentioned getting the right products to the right people, saving employee time. One of the things that we forgot to mention was that it's an accounting nightmare when you get in-kind donations, especially during something like Hurricane Harvey. Things coming in from the left, things coming in from the right. Who got us this? What's the value of it, right? And then if you get audited and you don't have valued all these products that are coming in, they're not coming in like a couple dozen products. They're coming in thousands of products. It's a nightmare. So as part of the marketplace, automated receipts go to our accounting team, they go to our gift officers, and they go to the donor. So that saves a lot of time there. That all being said, there's value and impact for us that we're currently in the process of measuring. Once we have measured that, we put together essentially a business case to say, here's the value it provided to Upbring. We invested X amount of dollars in it, and we made this much in kind in comparison to the way we did it in the past. Then that's where we take it to the next level for the innovation lab and package it up, which is where we're at now, which is packaging up as a software as a service product and bringing it out to foster care agencies outside of ourselves across the state, across the United States, that can now start using this tool to better their operations, get more in-kind donations, and our agency actually starts to make a subscription base where we're having money come in for this as a software as a service product, that then that money can go into funding our direct care services in foster care, adoption, and school. Yeah.
I am a diaper donor. I tried this out a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And to Bay City, I have a friend who I went to college with who's in Bay City.
Oh, nice.
I'll just do Bay City.
The Head Start program out there?
Yeah, and, but I wondered, like, is it, I have the price that I paid and I have my receipt. That receipt looks really good and everything. How do you, is it just through general donations, through the big Upbring, that you fund that whole platform? It's not, there's not like a little fee that would rightly so say come off to fund your running that specific platform? You know what I'm saying? How do
Yeah.
you fund that thing? Is it just part of the bigger
Sure,
picture?
sure, no, so for within, within Upbring, yeah, so Stripe has a fee, right?
Yeah.
We bake that in. The prices on the site are pulled in from a retail partner that we can't legally say, but rhymes with Schmamazon. And we match the exact same prices, right, and everything gets drop shipped to the location. For us, it's not, we're not trying to profit off of it. For us, where we do make that margin, though, as a nonprofit, doesn't mean that you don't want to make a margin and reinvest that, right? It's the bigger picture. It's this. It's where we've created a business case, and then we scale it, and we put it out to the Red Crosses of the world, and they start paying us a subscription base for it. So as the individual product, no, that's not something within our organization that we really,
And I might not have said this, but it goes directly to those sites.
Yeah.
And so that's the other benefit of having an e-commerce partner. The delivery, where it's not delivered to our central office here in Austin, and then we're reshipping it. It's delivered in McAllen,
I like
in
that-
Amarillo,
that
right?
it's really so tangible, because like I looked at the whole, like everything on there, like, well, I just thought that was gonna be something. Looked like that was a big need at the time I was
Always
on
a need.
there. And there's something real satisfying about just knowing exactly where your money went. You know how it is with nonprofits and people complain, they don't really know where the money's going. Whereas that, you really know where the money's going.
100%
It's very concrete.
100% of it goes directly to their children and their kids, which is awesome. But one of the things to get to kind of this final stage, and we're realistic with ourselves. We built this from the ground up in 3.5 months, which if you've ever worked with a company that's a large online retailer, not just that one, but multiple of them, it's difficult when they have siloed product teams and you're working with multiple APIs, and you're working with APIs that some of them seem to have a black box around them or don't have great documentation. So to do this in 3 to 4 months as a child welfare agency, let alone any startup, we're really happy with where we're at in terms of where we've come to get it to that stage. Now, we're realistic, there's a lot of problems with it. There's a lot of bugs. The user experience can be better. We don't have user experience experts. We don't have A/B testers at our company. So that's where, if you want to go into kind of where we're currently at our innovation lab, part of what we do is creating products and services like this with an end goal to generate a revenue stream and make an impact. Another part is cultural, right? We talked about the ideation sessions. There was never idea pathways or these conversations at our organization of almost 1,000 people, at least at this scale. But then there's also the piece of we're building an asset at the company. So how do we build an asset? Well, a huge piece right now is bringing in entities like the Capital Factory, people that work at the Capital Factory, to get involved with us. In the past, we've worked with the government, we've worked with people that want to volunteer, a little more hands-on, but when it comes to these types of opportunities where we can involve subject matter experts, where we can actually have a tangible product where you say, hey, you guys are a bunch of great developers, and we notice that you give 5% of your time, you want to give it to something in your backyard to make a difference in the community. That's where we're at right now. So we're in the process of building an advisory board, strategic advisory board of executives behind the Innovation Lab. We're in the process of building out subject matter cabinet, if you will, and then also quarterly focus groups with people in and outside of the industry. Honestly, outside of the industry is a huge help to us because we've got the inside the industry stuff down at Upbring. It's the stuff that you see day in, day out at the Capital Factory that we need help with. So we are currently in the process, as I mentioned, going into the second phase of the marketplace, which is looking at it as a software as a service project and getting some feedback. We're also currently in the process, we have multiple projects going on right now. We're currently in the process of partnering specifically in VR for both training and also for trauma treatment. So there's, as an innovation lab, we know we can't build everything ourselves, and sometimes the technology's already out there, or there's well-funded startups that need what we have, which is a population to work with, the sandbox that we're so blessed to have at Upbring, and so that's a way that we can also partner. And then the innovation calculator, I won't bore you too much, but this is a quick snapshot of the innovation calculator. What we're doing right now to, again, the tech industry, maybe something that people are very familiar with, but when you're talking about child welfare, they may not be as familiar. So one of the things that we're aiming to do is spur innovation outside of our organization. So we're in the process actually of building a web application that takes people through, if you've ever Google searched what type of mortgage can I afford, you'll come up to like a bank rate calculator or something.
Or maybe even like student loans, like what I'm gonna pay over my lifetime.
Exactly,
like that,
you can input numbers. We're trying to do the same thing currently with innovative ideas. So if you have an idea, we're looking to measure the ROI, social impact. We're looking to then take it through the criteria the same way that we evaluate our innovative ideas internally, but provide this as essentially a calculator tool externally. So that's where we're currently at with information.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's the most immediate thing on our radar, and it kind of, again, reiterates what we want y'all to take away here. We are a platform to explore ideas. That innovation calculator literally puts us in a position to provide everyone a platform to explore their ideas. So again, we are very much focused about changing things at Upbring and advancing, but the industry as a whole is something we have our eyes set on. That's our BHAG, right?
And that launches in about a little over a month.
Well, and
from
we
now.
can make sure to
So
get
we haven't even launched it. You saw the
Get a link.
screenshots, but
What are
we'll
you
s-
calling it?
right now,
the innovation
I don't
evaluation.
remember off the top of my head.
Evaluation calculator.
Innovation evaluation calculator. So what we do is we take people through the
Simple
process
name.
where they can say, hey, I've got a process innovation or marketing innovation. They go from there and they can input.
This is on your website?
It will be out in a little over a month.
Will
So
be.
it's,
Okay.
yeah, it's a web
Yeah.
application that
So
we're
you
working.
select one, because all these types have slightly different criteria, or, and a rubric in which we would assess them.
Yeah.
I will never think of the Lutheran Church getting the same account.
Yeah, I don't know if you knew this, but we're a 135-year-old organization. So when we talk about when we talk about thinking in a different way, we've been around for 135 years,
Yeah.
and it was only recently changed from Lutheran Social Services of the South to Upbring about 5.5 years ago. And the whole purpose of that was, as a faith-based organization, we recognize that we need to work with all different faiths, even within Christianity. We were seeing that people only wanted to work with the Lutheran groups. So if they were non-denominational or they were Baptist, they're like, well, we'll give our money to the non-denominational Baptist group. So strategically, we switched to Upbring so that we can work with organizations and all faiths, because our goal is to break the cycle of child abuse, right? It takes
It's
a
bigger than
village.
any of those things.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, a lot of folks ask us, how can you help? Thanks for that resounding, stop. I'll share. Couple things. Ryan mentioned subject matter experts. So those SMEs might be in growth hacking, user acquisition, user experience. Those are really helpful to us. Folks that maybe have unique approaches to business models. We're composing an advisory board that includes some of those folks, but then we have folks in our network right now that are doing short projects for us and that are helping alleviate some of our cost burden, but also bringing in new ideas and new ways for us to approach the same challenges or opportunities we're working with. We love shaking hands. We love developing relationships. We need partnerships just like anyone. So who are entrepreneurs that you might know in your network that our mission to break the cycle of child abuse, or our cause of bringing technology into the child well-being space, might be able to help us do that. We love those introductions, and we'll be good stewards of them when you make them. And then finally, share the marketplace. It's our first product. We want to hit this out of the park. It's going great so far. We're excited for the second phase of development. Post on your LinkedIn, your Instagram. or share with a friend. And then if you're so inclined, send us some feedback. Ryan and I are big boys. You can tell us our baby is ugly. We want the feedback, so please provide it. If you want to do so at innovatedupbring.org, we'll both get it, so we won't know who you're criticizing. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say about that, my diaper purchasing experience online. I don't remember on the very good-looking, sharp invoice very clear, but do you have share buttons? Like I could say, I bought diapers for Bay City's child center. Because, I'm a one campaign volunteer, and so I'm constantly barraging my elected officials with email and with tweets and Facebook posts, and they make it really easy for that to happen, and I love that. Makes it, and also I just get excited, like, this is such a great platform, you have to see it. And that's a really nice way to just shoot it out with a tweet or a Facebook post, the comment.
Yeah, we'll look and see if we can,
I got that
if we
written
can do that. If not, through the receipt, if the follow-up email that comes when you send it out. We built it through Stripe, which is why it's so beautiful to do with today. Like the receipt, I've never heard anyone call a receipt beautiful, but it's.
Well, it's really clear, and
it's-
beautiful logo, and a lot of white space, I can really see it. I would just say in regard to that, Pinterest went public now, and I'm on Pinterest, and I never took it seriously, but I think if you're not on there, I haven't checked, but you should have a Pinterest page, and maybe even have a page with individual links to it. It does lean a bit to the female audience, but man, it's about families and homesteading and growing your garden and raising chickens and high fashion and Chanel and travel to Norway. But I mean, I'm just saying, there's like an endless variety, and I think because Pinterest, I literally have over 50,000 hits a month on Pinterest. Like, why I'm one person, And I just went from a few to, it's just very powerful, and it's a real online traffic driver, and that's what
That's
reason
a perfect example
And it's
of the type of subject matter experts that we need, though, so.
Yes. Don't forget Pinterest when you're doing Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah, and there's right ways to do it, right? There's right ways to do it. So if you know subject matter experts that can that can take a platform like Pinterest and leverage it for us or with us, we'd love to talk with them as well.
I'll just reiterate too, either innovate@upbring.org or just our names from this program, first name dot last name @upbring.org, pretty simple. But from here, I think we're open up to, and still have time for discussion, questions.
Thanks for sticking with us too. We know that was a solid 50 minutes of.
Wow,
Yeah.
fascinating. I had no idea all that was going on. I was like, wow.
Is there any questions or, yeah?
So it's Jimmy Hennessy. Kevin and I, as mentioned before, we're a very similar idea, structure, and platform, actually on a smaller scale here in Austin, working with the homeless. And we approach several nonprofits here in Austin. We're specifically working with, or we'll have caseworkers who are working with the homeless here. And our platform is based off of a crowdfunding experience for each individual and allowing them to share their story with the public. It's all vetted through the caseworker. Each individual sets a goal, and they have several smaller tier goals, and they have a high end goal. Maybe it's temporary housing or job placement or education or something like that. Some of the things that we found challenges in when approaching the nonprofits is the boundaries that you're talking about. Budgets, it's a tricky area to go into, but transparency. We've noticed that transparency is a really big topic for them, as well as the donors as well. So they like to see exactly, okay, my $10 that I donated, because we're not item based, we're all cash based, or actually digital donations. So you can Venmo, PayPal, credit card directly to the individual, but they still want to know where that $10 went specifically.
Yeah, I mean, we're still on the early side, but once they purchase, obviously they get the receipt digitally, but then they get a handwritten follow-up letter from us thanking us, saying, thank you for your donation, it's arrived at Krause, and it's been given to one of the social workers there. That's an area where we need help developing, honestly, in terms of the follow-up. For us, as much as important as the business case is, so is the marketing case. And actually showing the pictures. The challenge in our space, which is different in the homeless, in the majority, yes, is that huge compliance issues with posting any type of photo of a foster child, right? So any photos that we've used in marketing tend to be like the hands grabbing a package.
Or like
which that doesn't pull at your heartstrings, you know. It's when you see a kid hugging their mom with the backpack.
Stuff like this, right? We can use that, right?
And even that, like that, and that's a stock image too. So, but
like we're not supposed to use a lot of that.
Yeah, so it's that is a big challenge for us, a marketing challenge for sure. But one of the things that we're working on right now is actually getting, as we do these ideation sessions across the state, these locations have received packages. So getting a photo and video with the caseworker to say, you know, we threw a foster parent appreciation this month, and here are like some photos from it, and your items made the difference in our foster parents' life. That's usually
it's a campaign in the second phase.
something we haven't figured out, so
Yeah.
entirely. Good question.
So coming from a nonprofit background,
Yeah.
I've noticed that a lot of nonprofits are hesitant to change and are especially fearful of technology in general. Most people in nonprofit don't really understand technology, including myself.
Yeah.
And like you said, they have their heads down and they're focused on the client and their human connection, and they are always putting out fires and dealing with crises, and they can't think that kind of
Yeah.
Yeah, so they don't often have time to even think about that, and the burnout rate is so high, and there's just so much secondary trauma that comes with working with client-facing services, and so I think it's really hard to implement change that's going to be sustainable and that's going to change systemic changes, which is something that I struggle with because I feel like, you know, wherever I've worked, it's always, this is how we do it, this is how we've always done it, and this is how we will continue to do it.
Yeah.
But I think what you guys are doing is great, and I just wondered, from an organization that's 135 years old, how did they identify this need for change, and how did they implement the innovation?
Oh, that's a great story.
Yeah, so that's a really good question too. So the Innovation Lab, and since this is on YouTube, I'm going to plug my boss so that if he ever sees this, they can look up. My boss, so I report directly to the president of our company, and he comes from a for-profit background. He worked in Hawaiian Airlines. He specializes in turning companies around. Our company's always been a strong company with the strength of an endowment, right, that provides a lot of stability. But when he joined the company, I want to say now 5.5, 6 years ago, he really turned things around in terms of getting debt off the books, in terms of focusing the mission on children. We did a lot of senior services as well, which is very important, but if you're, you know, the focus on the children, that shift and getting the org to the point to where it is now, the name change, are all big steps that pave the way to where we're at now. It starts, one of the things that I've heard recently that really had an impact on me is that trust starts in the small moments. It's knowing somebody's name, right? It's all these little steps that eventually create a path that then we can walk along. And he paved that path in terms of saying, okay, we're gonna get the books here. And he achieved it. Then he said, okay, we're gonna work with the marketing team and get the rebranding focused around children. Then we're gonna shift all of our programmatic focus towards the children. So it's little steps at a time. Then it's bringing in people, honestly, and this was bold of the company, but just bringing in a diverse skill set. I don't have a nonprofit background. I've been in nonprofit for 2 years and have worked in tech or as an entrepreneur. So it's small steps. It's molding clay slowly.
We would not be wearing what we're wearing. I think a couple months before I worked there.
When I joined the organization about 2.5 years ago, slacks required button in, button up. You know, and we work in Austin. I mean, look at all y'all. We're all dressed like very casually. How do you retain talent, right? When the job is already really hard. It's mission based, so your heart's there, but you gotta get dressed up in slacks and you know, those are the small things. So it's the small things like that make a big difference, because then you can get a couple more employees that you may not have had, and then the culture grows from there. But it's been a process for sure.
I was going to say the Nonprofit Technology Network has, in years past, I don't know if it's still doing it, but has had a special kind of a think tank series of courses just for executive directors. And I actually wrote an article for NTEN on this. And a lot of the problem with adopting technology is that a lot of the employees below the executive director find solutions and they want to use them. But, you know, then you get a patchwork kind of put together, or the executive director is like, forget it, we don't have time. And a lot of the decision to use the new technologies and to become more effective by doing that, it's the executive director's brain you have to get in. It's not the accounting person who really does get it and knows it, but they're not in charge, and it's not perceived as being a worthwhile endeavor. So, but what I'm saying is the process that you've outlined, it seemed to me you should partner with NTEN. It seemed to me that would be an interesting match to go, you know, national with a kind of a think tank way of approaching it like you are. You know, we're going through all the goals and how can I be the best possible director I can be? How can I make use of technology and not waste my time with a bunch of different systems that don't connect to one another?
The director piece is pretty spot on, though, is you got to put yourself in the shoes of who you're pitching the idea to, and that's all about the narrative. In our industry, it's risk aversion, right? So it's got to be, you know, they're like, I don't want to do this idea. So how do you build that trust and credibility over time? Start small, and then gets easier. We're still building trust within our organization and industry as well. We're new. But to do something like the marketplace in 3 to 4 months, they trust us that we can get something out the door.
The Nonprofit Technology Network has an annual conference that's really user-friendly. It's several thousand people. It's held all over the place. And you all should do a session, put in a session. I think you'd be right up their alley. They really like it. I know that some of them are watching. But
cool.
You know
We'll
what I'm
connect
saying?
with you
It's
after.
called
You two on YouTube after. We'll connect with you.
NTC. It's
You're so
NTC,
good at this.
you know, whatever. So.
Okay.
But anyway, thanks so much.
Thank you,
And
everybody, for taking the time.
I need business cards from you too, if you've got.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I do the reports to NTEN.
Do you have LinkedIn on your phone?
I do.
Do you want to just add me there?
I don't have an app.
Okay.
Yes, wait a minute. I
Do you want to add me there?
It's either my phone or my tablet.
I use my business cards as protection weapons if I'm walking down the alley. Otherwise, I don't really. I don't carry them with me.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, thank you for
Yeah,
being here.
Leonard, nice to
There it
meet you.
is.
You too. Have a good one.
Yeah,
There you go.
best of luck with the last semester.
Thank you, thank you.
So you guys work out of Capital Factory too? Okay, cool. Cool. Awesome. That's about what we do too. As one of the organizational structures.
I'm going out to
changes,
Relay
We're
now.
actually working 100% remote, like
Yeah.
starting in a week.
We're gonna give it a shot.
Yeah, so I'll be out of here, and then he's going to be over at the Notley Convention
I think it's gonna be
or
one of those
Social
things where
Innovation Center.
they'll eventually hit a bunch of people. I got like a interview number, and it's like, oh, this thing's cooking gas, man.
Same type of
And
thing
you're-
as
sorry, your first
this
name?
focus more on social innovation. So
Yeah, because you were on stage.
that's why we're trying to build our network. So
Carrie.
to work with them.
Man, it was one of the better panels I saw in the impact track, man. I really enjoyed it. It's hearing those or helping hearing, right? I literally think your card is in my bag. I picked it up for the event because I got like all my South Flag cards like in one place. It was good. I mean, that Rockefeller Foundation Lounge, we made a lot. Really? Man, I should check that
Well, the data kind of, I mean, that's what
Definitely.
like, they've done some awesome, like, projects and just like connecting with them and like, that handshake in person,
Yeah,
like,
and I met a couple
like,
of
they'll answer my
like,
emails now,
social
you know?
dinner thing, but yeah.
I didn't go to that.
Oh, yeah. I met a couple of them.
I don't know if he went either, but yeah, man, it was good. So you're here one day a week?